You're listening to the Bellydance Geek Clubhouse at bellydancegeek.com.
So hi everybody, I'm Nadira Jamal, and welcome to episode 9 of the Bellydance Geek Clubhouse. I can't believe we're on number 9 already. So the Clubhouse is a place where belly dancers can get all that good stuff that's hard to get in classes and DVDs. There's a lot of information out there on the what, so things like moves and repertoire and choreography, but it's a lot harder to get help with the why and the how, so things like stagecraft, stage presence, business, ethics, professionalism. And so that's what we're doing here on the Clubhouse. Every month I'm going to interview a different guest expert on a different topic. And every time we'll have some time for question and answer so that you can geek out too. So if you think knowledge and creativity go together like chocolate and peanut butter, you're in the right place. My guest today is Julie Eason. Julie is the founder of the Bellydance Business Academy, where she helps dancers build more fulfilling and profitable businesses. Julie created the Academy because she was sick and tired of watching dancers struggle to make ends meet just because they didn't know how to market themselves. A belly dancer herself since the mid-1980s, she's been in the professional dance world as a performer, teacher, artistic director, producer, and costume designer for over 25 years. Now a full-time marketing consultant, she's on a one-woman mission to stamp out the words starving artist forever. Over the years, Julie has helped dancers around the world build thriving studios, establish performing careers in competitive markets, create and sell unique programs that explore belly dance in deeper, more meaningful ways. And she's helped these women double, sometimes even quadruple their dance incomes. Most of all, Julie Eason has an unwavering, steadfast belief in you and your ability to transform your dreams into reality. The Bellydance Business Academy exists to provide marketing training and unconditional support that's necessary to make that happen. And if I can add my own couple of notes on this, Julie is the reason that you're listening to this today. I worked with Julie one-on-one in 2008 and in group settings since then, and she is what took me from a local dancer with a podcast to somebody with the courage and the skills to step out onto the national stage and speak to you all like I am tonight. So thank you, Julie. Before we get started, I just want to tell you that tonight's call is going to be a little bit different from what we've done so far. I've actually got a three-parter. So first, Julie is going to talk to you about the professional spectrum. This is all those things that we mean by professional in the dance world. Then we're going to have 2 hot seat coaching sessions with 2 dancers who have been selected already. And then at the end, we're going to have some question and answer time so that you can ask Julie your own questions. And be sure to stick around through the hot seats, because right before the question and answer, Julie is giving away a pretty fabulous prize, but you do still have to be on the call in order to win. So if you're on the phone, on Skype, or on the webcast, you're eligible, but you still have to be on when we make the selection. So let's jump right into the call. So thank you so much for coming, Julie.
Oh, thank you, Nadira. First of all, I got to say hi, everybody, and I'm so happy that you're all here, whether you're listening live or you're on the recording. I'm so excited that I get to talk to you all and share a little bit of what I do and how you can really reach your dreams. And Nadira is a shining star. I'm so proud of her, and I'm so happy at all that she's accomplished. And this Clubhouse thing is something that was just sort of a dream, and now it's real. So I take her as an example of what you can actually do, because it's pretty fantastic.
Thanks, Julie. So, we're going to begin by talking a little bit about the professional spectrum. And professional can be a really loaded word in the dance community. We can use it to mean all kinds of different things depending on who we're talking to. So you work with dancers all along the professional spectrum. Can you tell us about the different types of professional dancer?
Okay, well, first of all, I want to explain what a spectrum is, because just in case you don't know what we're talking about with a spectrum, it's a range. It goes from light to dark is a spectrum, or anything that's like the rainbow is a spectrum where there's different ranges of color. So we're talking about different ranges of being a professional dancer, and there's not only different ranges in time, so your time or your commitment level, there's also ranges of types of dancers. So you can be a teacher and a performer. That's typically what you think of when you think professional dancer. You think, okay, she's performing or she's teaching or both. But there's also costumers and musicians and producers and vendors, and there's tons of different places on the spectrum of the belly dance world where you can fall as a professional or as somebody who gets paid to do what you do. And that's one type of spectrum. There's also a spectrum of time, like I mentioned before, which is where you go from being a baby dancer or a paid hobbyist at one end of the spectrum, where you're just sort of getting your feet wet and you're having a good time, and maybe you're performing at some hoplas or you're going to workshops and performing. And then you move along the spectrum and you become what I call a pre-professional. And a pre-professional is somebody who kind of thinks they might want to start teaching someday, or not someday, but like in the very near future. They're getting ready to be a professional. Maybe they have, a couple of paid gigs. Maybe they go on Bellygrams for their teacher. Maybe they do some part-time teaching. Maybe they substitute teach. Those kinds of things. Pre-professional, it's not a big time commitment. It's not like a major deal, but it is still a level of maturity. And then you go from there to what I would call a full professional, where this is what you want to do, whether it's full-time or part-time. And that's just a time commitment. So it takes time to go from one to the other to the other. There's also a commitment level. So you can have a paid hobbyist who's been in business for 50 years, well, maybe not 50, but maybe 50, but 20 or 30 anyway, and they're still a paid hobbyist. They're still, happy with one or two classes, and they don't consider it their day job. It's strictly a hobby, but they do get paid for it, and they love it, and it's great. And then you move along that commitment level to a part-time professional where, maybe you have a day job, but you also spend 20, 30, 40 hours a week doing your dancing, whether it's performing, whether it's teaching, whether it's, sewing costumes. And if you are in any kind of a performing atmosphere, you probably do all of those things. You probably rehearse people, and you do all of those things. And then there's the career dancers. People who, this is what I do, this is my passion, I don't do anything else. This is my full-time living, and it's my career. And that is a very difficult place to get to. It's not, something that your mom probably told you that you should do because it would be a career choice. My mom probably is the only person who's ever said that, and she's like, yes, go do whatever you want to do. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe not. Maybe this dancing. I ended up being, I would consider myself, when I was doing this all the time, I was not a career dancer. I was definitely a part-time professional. I did the performing, I did the Bellygrams, I did the teaching, and I've run studios and I've run troops and all that kind of stuff. But I still never really considered myself a career dancer. Those are the people who, they're just really dedicated to not only the dance side but also the business side, because they have to be. Otherwise, they're going to starve, right? We don't want any starving artists. And that's not what we're after here. So you've got a time spectrum, you've got a commitment spectrum, you've also got a confidence spectrum. So a confidence goes from being like a novice where you're just, and this is like at the pre-professional level where, I'm going to teach a class and I'm not really sure if anyone's going to show up, or, I'm not really sure if this choreography is going to be great, or, you're just a little unsure of yourself. But that's okay. That's totally normal when you're starting out in any career. And then you move on to what I would call a veteran dancer, where maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 10 years. You're pretty solid. You've got your classes running, you've got your performances, you've got your website. You're pretty solid with work coming in one way or another, no matter what particular work you do. You've got it coming in, and you're feeling pretty good about it. Maybe you still want to grow, you still want to go places, you want to do more with it, and it's the natural human instinct to want to grow all the time, and that's totally normal. So if you're in an earlier range of the spectrum and you want to go places, that's good. That's normal. That's what you want. You want to continue to grow all the time and continue to learn. A lot of people stop at the veteran level. They're comfortable. They're good. Maybe they want to grow, but they're a little scared, or they don't know how to do it, or they don't know where they would even go if they did grow anywhere. So people tend to stop there. But I don't consider that the end of the spectrum. I think there's another step which leads up to being a leader in the belly dance world. And those are the people who are nationally recognized, who provide assistance and support to other dancers, people who are active in larger organizations. And it can be, maybe they stopped dancing, but they're still a dance leader in the world. And that, again, is a confidence level. In order to make the leap from being a veteran dancer to being a leader, it still takes some growth in maturity in your confidence. And so that's what I consider, there's lots of different spectrums, but it's all time and commitment level, and what you want to do is what gets you there. Does that make sense?
I think that one thing, absolutely. I think one thing that's interesting about all of this is that your actual dance skill level it doesn't necessarily map directly to any of those other spectrums. So, for example, one of my friends here in Boston is an amazing dancer. Nobody would look at her and say that she's not a professional dancer by any stretch of the imagination. But she has a really high-powered day job and a family, and so she gigs, but she's not building a business out of it. So when she dances, she gets paid well, and, everybody appreciates her skill and how well she's doing, but she's in a different place on a lot of those spectrums than some of the other dancers I know because of what her priorities in life are.
Right, exactly. And you may be at a different place on a different spectrum. You may be, in terms of years, you may be somewhere in the middle of the professional spectrum, and in terms of commitment, you may be at the high level, and in terms of confidence, you could still be in the novice level. It really, and that's when you have to that's when it can kind of drive you crazy, because you've got a lot of different things pulling you in different directions. And I think that's probably true of everybody. I think everybody probably has, at some level they're less confident than maybe their time shows, or maybe they're more confident than their time shows. The 6-week wonders are probably falling into that position where they're like, oh, I can dance, I can make money. And here's the thing. And this is one of the reasons that I started the Bellydance Business Academy, is because it's not the best dancer that gets the job. It's not the best baker that gets the job. It's not the best, mailman, whatever it is. It's not the best person who's got the most skills who's going to get the work. It's the best person who markets what they do, gets their message out to the most people, and, engages the community, engages the market, and sells what they do. You can be the best dancer in the world, and if you hide away, even if you're trying to make a business, if you don't get yourself out there, somebody who with less experience or less skill is going to get your job. And you can't blame them, because they're just trying to be a professional too. And I think there's a lot of blaming that goes on sometimes, because people feel like, well, I have more experience, I should be getting the jobs. Well, if you're not out there and people don't know that you exist, then how are they going to know? How are they going to know how great you are? So, that's where the confidence level comes in too.
Exactly. Now, when dancers are thinking about their future, and we've got all these different spectra that they can be thinking about, how do they decide where on the pro spectrum is actually right for them, given that there isn't just one way to be a professional dancer?
I don't think you really decide that, where you're going to be. I think life tends to put you in certain places at different times in your life. I think that you should have your goals, and you should know where, if you want to be a career dancer, then by goodness, you've got some work to do, and you've got things that you have to accomplish, and you've got things you need to get done. And you can decide, I'm going to run a studio, and I'm going to have 8 classes a week, and I'm going to rent it out to yoga teachers, and I'm going to have, a hafla once a month. You can have all these goals, and that's great. But I don't think you really decide where on the spectrum you fall. I think that the maturity level moves you along the spectrum automatically, which is good, because that means that, you can just be pursuing your goals and doing your marketing and doing your business stuff and getting out there and going to national workshops or whatever. And you don't have to worry about where you fall on the spectrum, as long as you are moving forward continually. And if you're moving forward in years, but you're not getting more confident, then that's a problem, and maybe you need to look at, why am I not more confident? I've got all these years behind me. What is it that's keeping me stuck? the same thing with the commitment level. The commitment level, you can decide. You can say, I want to be a part-time dancer, or I want to have one class a week and be a hobbyist, and that's fine. You know, or you can say, I want to have a national tour that goes all over the country, and I have my troupe, and, you know, it will be Bellydance Superstars 3, whatever. That you can decide. But I think you just start with your goals. You start with your dream. Where do you want to go? And people don't ever start there. People start with, what can I do? You know, am I good enough to do that? And they start sort of at the bottom. And I try to teach people to start at the top and work backwards, because then you can make a plan for yourself. So if you say, I have a goal to be a career dancer, I want to dance at weddings and parties on the weekends, and I want to teach 3 classes a week, and I want, you know, Mondays off. Great. That's your goal for right now. So how do you get there? You have to assess certain things, right? You have to know what you've got, so that you can know that you've got the right fuel in the car and you've got the right roadmap to get there, because you've already got a destination. If you fuel up the car and you pack it with all your stuff and everything, and you've got everything ready, but you don't have a map and you don't know where you're going, then you're just going to wander all over the place, which is what happens a lot of the time. You wander all over the place. Like, oh, I'm going to teach a workshop here, and a year later maybe I'll teach another workshop, you know. And that's fine if you want to, if that makes you happy and that's the level where you are and where you want to be, cool. But if you want to be more than that, or if you're wandering around right now and you want a direction, you can get one. You just have to start from the end and work your way backwards. So having a map, having, you know, the right fuel, and the fuel is your skills, right? So I say that you have to assess yourself, because you are the product. You know, you are the dancer. Your dance is the product that you're selling. So you have to know that you have the skills. You have to know that you have the experience. You have to know that, you know, what you're selling is a good product. We always say that in marketing. If you don't have a good product, it doesn't really matter, you know, what you're doing. You're still going to get poor feedback, and you're not going to sell very well. You might sell well at the start, but it's going to get around eventually. Oh, maybe you shouldn't have bought that. So you test yourself, make sure you're a good product. You've got your experience, you've got everything under your belt, and then you assess your resources. Do you have studio space? Do you have a website? Do you have, you know, what's your market look like? Are you in a rural area in the middle of nowhere? Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. Depends on whether you like competition or not, and whether you can drum up the interest in what you do. If you're in a really competitive market, that could be a good thing, or it could be a bad thing too. You have to assess all of these things when you're deciding where you want to go. And once you know what you've got, you know what you need to get, which is a plan or a map, and then you can just head off on your journey. And hopefully, you know, you're going to take the straight a line as possible to get where you want to go, because then you get to go someplace else, which is even better. Good.
So here's kind of a random question for you on that note.
Yeah.
You know, when I was starting out, when I was, you know, kind of in that like high intermediate, wow, I could actually make this a big part of my life stage, I had no idea what opportunities were available and what the career of a professional dancer could look like. I saw the hot club dancers, and I saw that they or the dancers who had recently retired from clubs were the ones teaching all the workshops. So I kind of got this impression that the only career path was to become the top club dancer in town and then branch out from there when I'd been doing that for 15 or 20 years. And it seems like there's not a lot of discussion out there about all the different things that could be your goals.
Right. And that's what I mentioned at the other spectrum, with the types of places you can be. Because here's the thing with teaching, especially with that being the hot club dancer, that's a really competitive market. Like, that's getting that gig and getting a gig in a good spot with a good restaurant manager who respects you and pays you well, and, you know, having good clientele and everything. That is not, there's not that many of them. I mean, to be honest, to be brutally honest, that's a tough way to go, to be a top club dancer. And asking yourself to do that for 10 or 15 years is a lot too, because that's tough on your body. You have to keep yourself in shape. You have to, you know, just the eyelash glue alone can't be good for your eyeballs, right? So
it's all about the
not
extension.
The only way to go. And it used to be that it was the only way. And this is the coolest thing, because when I started, in the mid '80s, like, yeah, you danced at clubs, you did belly brands, You went to restaurants maybe. Occasionally, if you were in an ethnic area, you could do weddings, and you could teach, but there wasn't the opportunity that there is now. Right now, you can make and I call these sidelines, but it's like a sideline business out of just about anything that you do. So, like for me, I'm a marketer. I'm a copywriter. I do marketing, and I'm like it's so lame, but I'm a marketing geek. I think I may be one of the very few. There are all
kinds of geeks.
So I'm a marketing geek, and I love doing this. And it just occurred to me one day, crap, I could be doing this for belly dancers. I could help these women, and
Can I interrupt you for a sec?
Yeah.
I'm just getting a little bit of weird feedback on your line. Is there another phone that you could switch to?
Oh no, but let me move. I'm actually have a headset. So is that better?
It's sounding better so far.
Did that help? Okay, so I'm just going to hold the microphone away. It's probably right on my zipper is what it is, right on my shirt. So what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about opportunities. Opportunities, yeah. So I created Bellydance Business Academy out of like my love for marketing and my love for belly dance, right? So there's so many opportunities now because of the internet and because of desktop, not even desktop publishing anymore, it's online publishing. You can write a book. You can create your own DVDs. You can, do your own music. There's any kind of medium that you can get your stuff out on. And if there's a market of people who will buy that stuff, you've got a business, right? So you can create a business out of how to sew sequins onto Lycra. I mean, that is a skill, let me tell you, because I do it all the time. And there's people who ask me all the time, how do you get that stuff on there so it doesn't wrinkle? Well, that's a product, right? That's something that you can sell that information, or you can teach that in a workshop or classes. You can also teach choreography or improvisation. I mean, one of the things that before I met you, Nazira, you'll probably remember this, I had wanted to write a book on improvisation because it was something that wasn't being taught. It wasn't really, it was just sort of something that some people did, like magically. They could just improvise. And I figured, there has to be some actual skills, and there's got to be an actual way that you can structure this so that you can do it easier. And then I found you, and I was like, oh, well, crap, she's already doing it, so I'm just going to let her do it because she's doing it way better than me. So, but, that was something that was an interest of mine, which was improvisation and also choreography. And, how do you do it? Well, you just create a book or a video or whatever it is. At the time, that was like in the early 2000s, it was a little bit more difficult, but these days, you can make DVDs for almost nothing, and you can make, a book for almost nothing, and you can print on demand and have it be sold on Amazon, and there's no upfront cost. So the sky is the limit as far as what you can combine with belly dance to create a richer belly dance world, and that's what the cool part is. I mean, the goal is to create a richer world, right? To create more depth and more meaning in this dance. Because it's more than just the moves. I mean, we're all geeks here. We all love this dance. Why do we love it? Is it just because of the moves? No, it's because of the feelings that we get. It's because of the costuming and the traveling, and the music is so awesome, and there's just all this rich texture. And, I mean, there's money in that texture, There's possibilities. It's just what do you love, and how can you share it, really is all it comes down to as far as creating alternate paths. And it can be teaching, and some performers are terrible teachers, and some teachers are not so great performers. You know what I mean? Like you realize where your skills are, and some teachers are awesome performers and can do everything, and it's great, but they burn themselves out because they're trying to do too much. So you really have to assess how can I contribute to this world and make it a richer experience for everybody. I think that is what it comes to. When you say career, that's really what it is. It's creating a richer experience for everybody in the world.
Gotcha. All right. So, we've talked about all these different spectra, and, how does marketing differ depending on where you are on the spectrum, or does it?
I don't think it does. In reality, it differs a lot. In the way, in my world, in my perfect world, in the way that I want all of the people who study with me to be, it exactly the same no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, whether you're a musician or a teacher or a performer or a vendor, whatever it is. And you know this, I teach that there's 5 ways. There's 5 ways that you can market your business, and it covers everything. I mean, you need a website, you need to do email marketing, you need social media, online marketing, and offline marketing, and that pretty much covers everything. And I teach people that you don't have to do all of them. You don't have to do everything, but you do have to do something. You know, you can't just sit around and expect people to come to you and give you money just because you're there. You have to actually get out in the world and do these things and get your message out. So it doesn't really matter if you're a beginner, or not a beginner, but if you're a novice or a lower level professional, you're just starting out, or whether you've been in business for 40 years, you still have to market, and you still have these 5 ways to do it, and they still work. So saying that a beginner shouldn't, and I keep using the word beginner, but a novice shouldn't market themselves is crazy, because how are they ever going to get a foundation? How are they going to make their mistakes? I mean, we all make mistakes, and we all have to build to get to a higher level of professionalism. So you've got to have that time to make mistakes. And what I see most often happening, and it's not just in the dance world, it's in the marketing world, it's in every business that I've ever seen that is a service-related business, especially. And I'm guilty of this myself in my copywriting business. When I was first starting out, is what we call the feast or famine cycle. And what happens is you're broke.
Sure, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you again for just a second.
You're broke, and you need to eat, and you need to fill your classes, and you need to get some money. So you market like crazy, and you do all this stuff. You put out flyers, and you put out press releases, and you get on social media, and you're doing all this crazy stuff, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, your classes fill up, right? Oh my God, this is great. I have full classes, I have a waiting list, and I have people signing up for my workshops, and I'm bringing in all this money. This is awesome. Thank God, I can stop marketing. And they stop marketing. And it depends how long, but it will take a little while, and then your classes get smaller and your workshops don't fill up, and you don't get the gigs anymore because you stopped your marketing. So it's a cycle. It's a feast and famine. You're either marketing like crazy and you're on an upswing, and then you get lots and lots of clients and you're happy, and then you stop marketing, and then you go on a downswing, and then you get right back where you started. And you're right back to the, oh, crap, I've got nobody in my classes. And this is a marketing problem. This is not you. And please, if you're in this right now, listen to me right now. It's not you. It's your marketing, okay? If you have gone through and you have had classes before that were successful, or you've had shows that were successful, and right now you're kind of in a low dip point where you're just doubting yourself, please don't think in your head, oh, God, it's me. I am no good anymore, or I was never good, or I shouldn't be doing this, or whatever. Because that's where we all go. We all immediately self-doubt. When it really all it is that, oh, you stopped your marketing, so of course they're not hearing about you, so they don't know that you're doing a workshop, or they don't know what's going on. You got to keep a consistent level of being present in the market for you to have a consistent level of success. And that is like the most important thing to realize is if you can't not market yourself. And it's not super difficult to do. You don't have to be crazy marketing all the time. The more consistent you are, the less work it is, right? You've seen that yourself.
Oh yeah.
If you do it regularly, then suddenly it's not such a big deal, because you're not in a state of desperation, and you're not freaking out that you've got to get stuff done. It's like, okay, today I'm just going to go on Twitter for a little while and hang out. That's an easy marketing thing, but it's something that you did. If you do one thing every day, you're going to get somewhere. And if you do more than one thing every day, that's great. But at least, doing one marketing task, if it's writing a letter, if it's writing an email, if it's contacting a dancer for a workshop, whatever it is, keeping yourself in the habit of being consistent is really important. And it doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum, how long you've been in business, where you are confidence-wise. And doing your marketing is going to build your confidence, immeasurably, because you'll realize, oh, yeah, I really can do this. I am good at this. I'm a good dancer, and I'm a good businesswoman, and I can do this. And that is the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. I'm going to interrupt us for just a sec. That feedback is coming back. Can I have you take another look at that?
I'm sorry, what?
While you're doing that, can I have you take another look at that feedback and see, I don't know if you can switch to a handset or if there's anything else that will work?
Is it still there?
Yeah, it comes.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to take my headset off, and I'll just listen to the handset. Hold on.
Absolutely. And while you're doing that, I just want to let everybody who's listening know we're about to switch to the hot seat section of the call. So what that means is that 2 dancers are going to get 15-minute coaching sessions with Julie live, and we're all going to listen in as a case study. Now, Julie is going to be talking about a couple things that are on these dancers' websites. So if you are calling in by phone or Skype and you're not on the webcast, you're not going to see these slides that we've got going so that you can see what Julie's pointing out. So if you do want to get those, I also have them available as a PDF download. So if you go to bellydancegeek.com and then scroll down a little bit, there's a link for Geek Out with Julie Eason. If you click through to that page, there's a big gray down pointing arrow, and that will download the PDF slides of what we're talking about here. If you do want to listen in on the webcast, you can do that while you're listening on phone or Skype. If you go back to the Instant Teleseminar link, that's instantteleseminar.com/event ID equals 418-75374. That will give you the option to listen in. And if you're calling on the phone or Skype, you can select the option to synchronize slides with phone after you've chosen to watch that, and that will let you see the slides live. You don't really need to see it. It's not the end of the world, but it will be a little bit easier to understand what Julie's talking about if you can see those slides. Let's see. So, Julie, how's that going?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes. Oh, beautiful.
Better?
All right.
Okay, good.
So are you ready to get started with the hot seat?
Yes. So let's do Serafina first.
Oh, gosh, it's coming back a little bit. You're still on the handset, though?
Yeah, I am. You know what? It's probably just my voice because I'm yelling, so I'm so excited. I'll try to talk quieter.
Well, that's the best we can do, so we'll run with it. It's not terrible, but it's there. All right, so Serafina, I'm about to unmute you. Let me find you in the list here. Okay, Serafina, do we have you on the call?
Yep.
Great. So I'm just going to go ahead and click through to the first slide from your website, and I'm going to hand you over to Julie.
Okay.
Hi, Serafina.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to you about this site. First of all, it's a lovely site. There's for everybody to know, there's 2 sides to a website. There's what's on the website, and there's also the traffic that comes to it. Because we've only got 15 minutes, and Nadira, you got to give me a 2-minute warning because you know I can go on like for hours on this stuff.
You got it.
So give me a warning before so we wrap up in time. So there's the traffic that comes to the website. We're not going to go over that because that's like a whole other conversation, and there's a whole lot of things that we could go on forever just about that. We're going to talk about what's actually on your site that will help with what we call conversion. And conversion is basically selling, right? You're converting somebody who's a visitor, who's just looking at your site, and we're converting them over to a client or to a student, basically in your case. Now, I did want to ask you, are you trying to get more of your business in performances or in classes or both, or is there any, like, one you want more than the other?
No, I think both. I think it's a balance between the 2.
Okay, cool. So then let's just get started. The first thing I have here is what I'm going to call a splash page. And when I look, this is the first thing that I'm seeing when I come to your site. And the very first thing I want to know is that what I call the 3-second rule, which is, do I know what you do and where you do it? And that absolutely is like check. You did a great job with that. Serafina Bellydance, I know you dance. I can easily see you have performances and classes. And up in your title tag, which is not in the slide, but in the title tag at the top, it does say Elgin and Chicago. So that's great job on that.
Thanks.
That's like the first test you got to pass. When people come to your site, you've got like 2 seconds before they have to know immediately, what do you do, where do you do it, who do you help, And if you can pass those three things, that 3-second test, you're doing really well. So that's a good start. And you also have a Google Places profile with some reviews, so that's good too. So you've got local people. You've got Google aware of where you are, which is good too. And you don't have too many extraneous pages. It's a nice tight site. There's what you see is what you get. There's not a lot of explanation or philosophy or education, or there's nothing wrong with having pages like that on your website, but when you want to convert somebody, you really want to get them through the process as quickly as you can and get them to the sale, and then you can talk about education and your philosophy and the history of the dance, or whether you do tribal or cabaret or whatever. All those things you can do in your emails, you can do them in class, you can do them on on a blog or something. But in general, you want to have a nice tight website to do the selling for you, and you've got that here, which is great. So what I want you to feel good about so far, I'm going to go through a whole lot of things that you can fix. And the other thing I wanted to ask you is, do you do your own web work, or do you have somebody else that does it for you?
No, I do it.
Okay, that's cool. So that's actually really good, because then you'll know what I'm talking about when I'm saying things.
Yeah.
So, okay, the very first thing is, I did not realize that this was a splash page. I thought it was your homepage. And so when I looked through your entire site, it wasn't until I was almost done and ready to go away, I never even clicked the homepage button. And then I finally did, and I was like, oh, this is actually a slide out. Like, when you click each of these pages, they slide open. I was like, oh, now things make much more sense. But because that happened to me, it's probably happening to other people. So that's just something to think about, and to see if your homepage, it's a little bit confusing that way. But I'm going to give you a recommendation in a second to fix it. The very first thing I would suggest is at the very, very bottom, you'll see this red square. There's a lot of code at the bottom.
Yeah, you know what it's a Google Analytics code, and I'm not sure why it's showing up, and I didn't know it was, because when I tested the site initially, it wasn't showing up, so something somewhere along the line broke, maybe in an update. So when I saw that, I was like, yeah. So if you can see how to figure that out and get rid of that, that would be good, just because it helps your credibility to not have extraneous code. Plus, you don't really want people looking at your Google Analytics account, because it's right in there. So, get rid of that. And the other thing I was wondering about is, I've got a red box around this 1, 2, 3. Is there a specific reason, when I click on each of those, it changes the picture. Is there a specific reason why you did that? Or you just like the pictures? Just for visual interest. From what I've gathered in my years of business, is that people want to see you. They, whether you're going to teach them or you're going to perform for them, they want to see you. And I tried to give 3 different pictures that were interesting so that they could see who I really was.
Okay, and that comes through when you click on those, but it's a little bit of a waste of clicks. You want to get people through to your class site. Basically, you want them either to go to your class page or your performance page, because those are the 2 pages where you're going to make some money when they're looking through it. They do want to see those pictures, but I would just pop them into your gallery. I mean, you've got a gallery page coming soon, so rather than having them clicking around on stuff that doesn't really do anything except give them the visual interest, put that in your gallery page, and then they'll expect that. Okay. And these are just recommendations. You can take it or leave it. It's just what I see. So when I said I never clicked on the home page, the information that's actually on your home page is really good, and you don't want people to miss out on it. So Nadir, if you'll click onto the next slide. Oh shoot, I just went up like 4 in my slides here.
Got it.
Just click through to the next one, because I want to show people what the actual homepage looks like. And it's awesome. You've got a beautiful picture, you've got a welcome, you've got what's new, and you've got the classes, and you've got beautiful students in your classes showing, themselves, and it's great. So it bugs me that I didn't click on it right away. So what I was thinking.
Can I ask a question? If I change that homepage title on that button to say click here first,
Do you think that would help?
Yeah, I was going to say, what I was going to suggest is that you change the title of the button.
Okay.
And I was going to say, what's new, or here's what's happening, or something like that, so people know, what's going on. Or click here first would be good too. Start here is a good one, but something that tells people, oh, I need to open this. The other important thing is you have an opt-in for email marketing, which is very important, and it's one of your most powerful tools that you've got for Bellydance marketing. I did not see the opt-in at all until I opened that page, and then when I did get to it, I had to scroll way down on the page to see sign up for Serafina's mailing list. So, and also I had to click to do it. So what I would suggest is getting a web form. Who do you use for your email list? Do you use MailChimp or?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So get an actual form from them. Do you know how to do that? It's just copying and pasting code, and then have it. Because of the way everything kind of slides out and covers over your splash page, which is kind of cool, I like it, I would put your opt-in in the menu over on the left.
Oh, okay.
So that people see it, because email is so powerful, you don't want people to miss it. And, then you can just click over to the page and have the form on the page.
Yeah. And
I think you're going to get a lot more opt-ins that way.
Okay.
It's also a good idea not to say sign up for the mailing list, because if you can offer any kind of a free report or reports are boring, but like Nadira has if you guys, Nadira will share with you I don't know what the URL is for her class page, but she has like the best opt-in offer ever. She has a free video class that you can download, and it's got an interview with her ahead of it, which is awesome. And it's like everybody wants a free class when they're going and checking out classes. They want to meet the teacher. They want to see what it's like. So she's got an actual video, and so get your free video lesson, and people sign up, and it's just a really awesome tool there. But even if you only say, get email updates, that's cool too, if that's what you want to do. But yeah, definitely put it where you can see it. All right, so I'm going to scroll through, because I know we're going a little bit. I'm going too slow. Okay, so your About page. So click that. And Nadira, if you can go through to the next slide. Your About page.
And can I break in for just a second, actually?
Yes.
I realized that I never told the listeners what the URL of this site is in case they want to poke around. Serafina's website is serafinadances.net. So that's SERA, F as in Frank, INADANCES.net. Sorry about that, everybody, and please continue, Julie.
Okay. All right, so now we're on the About page, and the first thing I see is a picture of Mrs. Cunningham dancing in the Happy Days show, which is a cool story. I love that story that you saw Mrs. C belly dancing and that you wanted to do it as well. But I want to see a picture of you on the About page, not Mrs. C. Or Mrs. C can be lower down.
Okay.
You've got a lot of great pictures, and it says About Serafina right there, and it's not you. And that's a little confusing to the eye and the subconscious mind when it's reading. Mm-hmm. So I would just move that picture down, or maybe even move the story down, and then move more stuff about you up higher and put in a nice picture of yourself in there.
Okay.
And and I didn't mention this, but I'm going to send you all my notes, so you don't have to worry about writing furiously or anything. If you are, I'll send them to you via email, so you don't have to worry about all that, because I know I'm not going to get to all of them that I have here. The gray text on the black background is a little hard to read, so you may want to punch it up a little. I don't want you to have to change your whole site, because it looks nice in black and white. And I try to tell people when you're starting to build a site, try to have a white or a light colored background with a dark text, because that's what people are used to reading. But I know that dancers love to have their pictures pop, because the colors look great on a dark site. Right. So it's kind of like, you have to kind of balance that, and I get it. But the text is really small, and the gray is hard to read. So I would maybe punch up the font a little bit, not the font, the size of it a little bit, just to make it easier to read. And the other thing, the biggest thing about an About page is we always think it's about us, but no matter what we do, it's about the person reading it. They care about themselves deep down. They want to know what you can do for them. So if you get a nice headline that's talking about what you do, but also what you do for them, that makes a much better impression. So yes, you're talking about yourself, but you're going to use a headline, something like, I don't know, Serafina creates awesome wedding events for you, or whatever it is. So like, put it in terms of what they're going to get from you, and then go and talk about you. But always, having it be something that's about them draws them in and makes them excited about reading the page.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Let's go down to the booking page, which is the next slide. So booking Serafina for performance. I love the pictures, and the testimonials are great. I would love to see at least one of the testimonials near the top of the page.
Okay.
Because when I looked on my browser, like, I only got down on my screen to like book Serafina now, and then I had to scroll down. So if you put one of the, put the best one at the top.
Okay.
Because it's what's called a third-party endorsement. It's always better when somebody else tells people that you're great rather than you telling yourself or telling them that you're great. So it's just helpful that way, especially since you got the stars and everything. That's awesome. The stars are great reinforcement. Visual reinforcement.
Yeah. Julie, this is your 2-minute warning.
Oh, crap. I knew it. Okay.
I've got to be the mean lady.
Okay. All right. So one of the things that I wanted to mention is you're giving them a lot of places to click away from your website. And that goes, a lot of you have all of these social media buttons at the bottom. And you have a couple of other places where you're letting them click away, and you don't want to do that, because once they click away, especially if they're going to a social media site, they're going to get distracted and they're never going to come back, right?
Okay.
Yes, you want to collect them on Facebook and Google and all that stuff. You do want to use social media, but this is not the place to do it, because you want them to click that Book Serafina Now button. You don't want them to follow you on Facebook when they're on this page. You want them thinking only about hiring you.
Okay.
The place to put those social media buttons would be like the contact page, or even the about page, maybe.
Okay.
All right. I think that's the biggest things on here. Oh, when you have the Book Serafina Now button, when you click on that, it goes to the contact page. That's an extra click they have to do to fill out the form. All you have to do is create a link that actually pops up an email. So they just start filling out the email immediately.
You know what's funny is that I actually got a little bit of pushback on that, because and maybe things have changed with Gmail and everything, but it used to, people had different kinds of clients, like Outlook Express and stuff, and it wouldn't work right, so that's why I did it that way. It's funny. Yeah.
That's odd. I wonder what that was happening. Okay. Well,
I can actually second that, Julie.
What?
I can actually second that. If people are used to using a web-based email program, mail to links on a browser will open up their computer's default program. So if somebody's
okay, well then never mind. Don't make it difficult. Don't make it difficult if you've gotten pushback. Absolutely. But that was the reason for it was eliminating clicks and eliminating extra steps. So in general, in the whole website, anytime you can eliminate some extra stuff, then that's generally a good idea. But yes, if you've got a lot of people using those and they're pushing back, then never mind on that one. Okay, let's go to the classes page real quick. We're going to skip over the gallery.
So sorry, but I've got to cut you off.
Oh, nuts.
So this is your kind of, if you'd like to make your final statement, go for it.
Okay, my final statement is I will send you all the rest of this stuff. So I have more notes on your classes page and on your contact page. So I will send them to you by email, and if you have any questions, you can just email me, and I'll explain them. Cool.
No, that's cool. Thanks.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Serafina, for participating. I know that, putting yourself out there in front of everybody can be a little scary, but I think
it really is.
Really got some great suggestions.
That's why I got questions.
All right, so thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, I'm going to mute Serafina again, and I am going to switch us over to Anya Ishtara in New Mexico. Let me go ahead and unmute you here. Anya, do we have you?
Yes.
Hi there.
Hi.
So before I forget to give everybody Anya's webpage, she is at AnyaIshtaradance.com, and that has hyphens in it. So it's ANNYAISHTARA ya-ISHTARA-dance.com. So let me hand Anya over to Julie.
Thank you.
Hi. I'm going to try to talk fast, but not too fast.
Thank you so much. Oh, man. Never mind.
All right. So when you applied for the hot seat, you had a lot of different things that you wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
You had classes, and you had workshops, and you also wanted to do products and things. And I figured that we would just focus on the marketing plan for the Eva Chernick workshop, since it's coming up, and you really want you want to fill that, or at least get it as full as you can before August 1st is when that's happening. Is that right?
It actually happens August 17th and 18th, and the early registration cutoff is August 1st.
Okay. Okay. Is there a reason that the registration cutoff is well,
not registration,
so
early registration. It's that you get a price you get a price break if you register before August 1st or on August 1st.
Very good.
Yes.
Okay. That's great, because I was like, oh, is there a reason? There's like
no, you can show up and pay at the door if you want.
They're going to give it to you. All right. So first of all, I want to let you know that anytime you're doing a workshop or any kind of an event, people always wait until the last minute to pay you. So, don't feel too discouraged if the sign-up is kind of low right now. It's totally normal, especially during the summertime. I do need to ask you a couple of quick questions that I didn't ask in the application. And the first thing is, who is your target market? You're going after dancers, but what level are they at?
For the workshop?
Yeah, for the workshop.
I think for this particular workshop, it's got to be dancers that are of probably intermediate or higher level, just because of the topics that Eva's offering.
Okay. And so what is the market like in your area? Do you have a lot of classes where you can pull those level students from different schools and things?
Right. I live in a rural area. There are very few belly dancers here. I have to primarily pull from cities an hour and a half and 2.5 hours away from here. And there will be some dancers I live about an hour from the Colorado border, and I know there will be a few dancers from southern Colorado, but most of my dancers I expect to actually come from other places south of here.
Okay, so you're expecting people to drive. Do you have special accommodations for them, or ways to make it easier for them to say, yeah, I want to travel?
I don't.
Okay, that might be one thing that you want to think about doing, like even just setting up a Facebook group or something where people can get rides, or they can find roommates or things like that. Just anything you can do to help them make that traveling easier, because that is one big barrier. It's one obstacle in the way of coming to the event is, I've got to drive an hour and a half or 2 hours or 4 hours or whatever. I live in a rural place too. I live in the middle of Maine and nowhere, and and it's it's 4 hours to drive anywhere. So I know that there's definitely that. And it's not necessarily a huge hurdle, but it is a hurdle that you have to at least say, I understand that you're making the effort to come this far, and we're going to do the best we can to help you, get accommodations or get a roommate or whatever. All right. Great. So when I go and do a marketing plan, we go through the 5 different ways to market anything. And it can be a workshop, it can be classes, it can be performances. Anything you want to do, you can use the same template. And the 5 things are: you need the website, the email, the social media, online marketing, and offline marketing. Now, not everything is going to work for you because it's coming up so quickly, and because your market is the way it is, and not everything works for every situation. So what I'm going to do is give you some suggestions that you can do in each of the 5 areas that are going to work as best as they can for your particular circumstances. Okay. The first slide, I don't have a lot of slides for you because most of it's just me talking.
Right.
But the very first slide is the website page for this workshop. And the slide is exactly what I could see above the fold, which means, and above the fold means on my screen, and I'm looking without scrolling down. When you scroll down, that's called below the fold. When my screen is huge, I'm on a big laptop, so the fact that this was all I could see is a little bit discouraging, because we want to have more information above the fold that people can start reading. And you have a lot of white space here, and I know that do you do your own web work, or do you have somebody else do it? I know this is a WordPress site.
That's the issue, is that I've been doing it, and I obviously, you can tell, don't know what I'm doing. I'm just sort of bumbling my way through.
It's okay. Everybody has to start somewhere.
Right. Well, I'm starting.
The beautiful thing about WordPress is that there's a bazillion tutorials on YouTube and places like that, and it would be good if you could do it quickly to get rid of some of that white space and kind of move things up a bit so that we get to the meat of the page. And so right now we're going over the website, and I'm just going to kind of nitpick a little bit on the website stuff, and then we'll move into some other things. This is what we call a sales page, because you're selling the workshop on this page. This is your pitch, right? This is the only picture that I see is the very top picture. I would love to see more pictures, especially since it's veils and it's Turkish, and there's very specific movements and just awesome energy that comes out of pictures of Turkish people. So if you can add more pictures, I think that's going to help make the sales page more interesting. It needs a little more pizzazz. I know that Eva doesn't I looked at her website, and she doesn't have a whole lot of stuff there. It hasn't been updated in many years. Right. I don't know if she has any videos from YouTube that you could add.
She has a few, yeah, and I've put some of those, connected them in Facebook posts and stuff. But I was thinking, I really got to put that on the webpage.
Yeah, I would definitely put it on this page. And the other thing I would do is I would make this your homepage. Right now, your homepage is just your basic stuff about your classes and things, but they can find those. And this is the priority for you, is to fill this class. So I would make this your homepage, and that's just a one-button switch. It's pretty simple. Right. And if you need help with WordPress, this is something that I love to do. So because you're being so brave and being out here, if you want to just sit on the phone with me for a little bit, we can fix some of this stuff. Get it done, because it's not difficult, but it is difficult if you don't know how to do it. Right. So we want to take out these on the right-hand side where it says recent posts, recent comments, archives, things like that. Those are widgets that can get removed.
Oh, awesome.
Because they're not really necessary right there. So just little things like that to punch up the page and make it look better. So that's what I want to say about the website, because at this point it's mostly just web work that needs to get done. So if you can flip to the next slide, Nadira, I'm going to talk about your email. This is your biggest asset right now, is your email list. I did sign up for your list just to see how smoothly it worked out. And what you're seeing in the slide right now is her web form to fill out for all of your stuff. I just wanted the reason I put this form up there for people to see is because you did an awesome job of segmenting your list. I shouldn't say nobody, very few people segment in this industry. And you did, and it's awesome, and you should totally get credit for that. Because what you have is you've segmented into classes and events only, and Eva Chernick workshops. So we can choose what we want to get, right? And that is dividing your list into little groups and things so that people only get the information that they're interested in. And that is awesome, because you are able to give people exactly what they want. Now, the bad part was I signed up for the Eva Chernick workshop, and I didn't get any information on the Eva Chernick workshop until today, 24 hours later. So what you want to do is you want to have that information go out immediately. As soon as they sign up, have that first autoresponder go out right away, so that because I'm interested now. I'm signing up about this workshop now. I want to know about it. Right. So wasting a day means that I may have signed up for somebody else's workshop, or I may have forgotten all about it, or I decided, I don't have my car maybe died, and suddenly I don't have the money. So having your email segmented this way is great, but if you know they want Eva Chernick information, send it to them immediately.
Right. Can I just say one thing? I haven't signed up I'm on the free MailChimp program, and so the only way you get autoresponders is if you pay, and I felt that the return on my website didn't justify even that minimal expense, so that's why I don't have an autoresponder.
That makes sense. So you don't get it. Okay, so the only way you can get it is to send it. I use Aweber, so MailChimp to me sometimes I get things wrong. That's the soonest you can send it out?
No, it just depends on when I actually check to see if some new person signed up, and then I can send it out to them. So.
Oh, you have to do it manually.
I'm doing it manually right now because I get so few sign-ups, and like I said, it was gosh, even though it's only, I think, $10 or $15 a month, I was I'm not going to make that return.
That's an expense. Yeah, that's totally legitimate. Well, we can. gosh, there's got to be ways around that. The other thing you can do is you can just have that information that you send out, have it be like on the page, the sales page, or have it be like something you click over to another page, or what's new in the workshop stuff. Something so people can get the information right away, because you want them to buy.
Right, because
so,
the sign-up information. Well, okay, so
ahead.
the thing is on the email that they get right now, it's just a little more like chatty about Eva, but you have to click through to that actual web page to sign up, because that's where if you go down the bottom of the web page, that's where the buy now stuff is.
Right. That's what I was going to say is I would move those buttons up high, because I clicked on them and they worked fine, and that's great. I love that you had the PayPal buttons there, but move them up higher, because if I know I want to sign up for this workshop, why should I, having to scroll way down after to a lot of text. You can have buttons in more than one place, so put one at the top and one at the bottom.
Great.
Okay, so you want to think about ways you can get more people to subscribe to this list. Some different ways, and I'm thinking maybe if you could interview Eva on the phone and invite people to the call, just like we're doing right now. It doesn't cost anything, and it's helping to market her business, her workshop. So hopefully she would be, happy to talk on the phone for 45 minutes. And this is kind of big picture, because even if people don't come to the event, they may be interested in the call, they may be interested in the topic, and I know that you want to do products and things later. You want to do DVDs and things, so this is helping grow your list for the future as well as for this workshop. So ideas like that, where you can get people excited enough to sign up for something for free, that's going to help to build your list, and that's going to be important. Okay, so let's move on to social media. That's all I have for the slides. We don't have to worry about the slides anymore. The social media, are you using social media at all? Because I didn't see anything on your website. I didn't see any Facebook links or.
I think there's a Facebook link somewhere on the homepage. But the only thing I actually do really much of anything with is Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn, but that I pretty much ignore. So on Facebook, I have to totally, maybe I shouldn't confess this, but I have to totally confess that it's not my favorite thing, and I do it because, I try to do it consistently because it feels like, and it was suggested that would be useful, but it's not something I love. Just so full disclosure.
That's totally cool, and that's something that maybe. Do you not love it because you don't like the platform, or do you not like it because you don't know what to say, or you feel like you're selling, or you're just, what is the reason that you don't like it?
Let's see. I try to put stuff on, I have an Anya Tara, personal page, which almost nothing happens on, and then I have an Anya Tara dance page. And I try and do something about once a week, whether, if it's the performance coming up or something about this EVA workshop, or sometimes I don't have anything in particular, so I just try and find some photo I like or something like that, just to kind of, keep people, reminded that I'm there, and, this is a little bit about who I am and things that I think are interesting. But I find I don't know. I'm a fairly private person, and sometimes I don't know what to say, and it doesn't interest me to.
And a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like that, and that's fine. I was going to give you an idea for something to say for the next month and a half or so, and that is to make July and August, or just July, Turkish Dance Month. Just declare it Turkish Dance Month. And that way you're getting people in the mood, and you can put Eva's videos out there, and you can put pictures or history snippets, or it's easy to, if you have a topic, it's easy to make up posts from that. And then when you say, and we're going to do a Turkish dance workshop, people are a little more in the mood and in the mindset to go and check it out and sign up.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Julie, I'm going to break in. We've got about 2 minutes left.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to move. Okay, so the other thing I would really suggest, if you don't like Facebook, you probably are not going to be thrilled about Twitter, but Twitter can be, I find personally Twitter more effective than Facebook, depending on for getting new people and finding new people to attract to my tribe. For Facebook is great for people who are already existing, but you might want to look into doing a little bit of work on Twitter and just following other dancers and the people who follow them, and attracting them and talking about. And you can use Turkish Dance Month there too. There's nothing that says you can't use both, or the same content in both places. All right, so let's go to offline. Offline is all the stuff, the flyers for the show. Do you have, you want to have those ready to get up and get going and get out there. Press releases about your show and about the workshop, so that you have local media covering it. And that includes broadcast as well as print media. So your local news station needs something to talk about. And it might be really nerve-wracking to think about talking on TV or contacting the TV stations, but they will often really appreciate, having something cool to talk about. And you can say, hey, yes, we had Turkish Dance Month last month, and, this month we're going to have a workshop, and we're going to do all these cool things. So contacting your broadcast and your print media locally, so that at least for the show, it may not be the market for the workshop itself, because you're trying to reach people who are already at a high level of dance. But those are good things to reach people for the show. Also for offline is just talking to the other teachers of people that you know, and you've probably already done this, is talking to the teachers that you know have students who will be interested. Sometimes you can give them a little incentive and say, hey, bring 3 or 4 students and you can come for free or something like that, just to kind of give them an incentive to come. All right, real quick, I'm going to go to online marketing. This kills me because I usually spend so much more time on this. So online, you don't have a lot of time, so there's some things you can do that you can do immediately, and that is if you're in any forums like buzz.com or Tribe or any of those places, put in your signature a link to the workshop page.
Oh, okay.
Let them know that this is coming up, and let them know the date so they can check it out. Also, you can find, if there's any of the dance schools in your area, places where you're drawing your target audience from, if any of them have blogs, offer to do a guest post.
Oh, okay. And
it doesn't have to be, I noticed that you had one flamenco school. It doesn't have to be like a belly dance workshop, right? Or a belly dance blog. It can be, it's even better sometimes if it's a world dance blog, if you have a flamenco or you have, sometimes even ballet studios will be like, oh, wow, I want to learn Turkish dance. That's really cool. Or, and again, you're kind of skirting the line here because you're looking for an intermediate belly dance level. But sometimes you never know. Because if somebody is skilled at ballet, you probably pick up what we're doing fairly easily.
Right,
so,
yeah.
And it's something that's different. So as long as you warn them ahead of time that what level the material is, sometimes they're like, I did a little belly dance. I can do this. And maybe not. It's just an idea. It's a real bummer that Eva's site isn't updated because you should have a link from her site. But that's neither here nor there. So you probably are not going to want to do a lot of paid advertising at this point unless there's specific groups that you know your target audience is looking at. So if there's a New Mexico like belly dance association in your area or something like that, you might want to have a banner ad or something there, or a guest post. They often will have blogs. Just anywhere that you can get what you're doing up and online, and so that people will see it. The whole thing about marketing is getting your message out to as broad an audience as you can, but a broad audience that's targeted, so the people that you want to come. The other thing you can do is if you know who these dancers are, like it sounds to me, if it's anything like Maine, I know all the dancers who are going to come. So I can, invite them to an event on Facebook. I can create an event and then invite them. And I can also flat out email them because they're all my friends. Just send them an email and say, hey, I just wanted to personally invite you to this. It's going to be a really great time. I'm hoping that you'll come and that you'll dance in the show or whatever. Here's the link to the page. So that you take the time to do something personal.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Julie, I've got to cut you off. So if you've got the last thought, go for it.
It's like speed dating.
I feel so mean doing it.
I got through on 5. It's good. The biggest thing I would say is just don't be shy about getting it out there. Get your message out there as much as you can. And if you email me, julie@bellydancebusinessacademy.com, we can take care of a couple of those things on your WordPress site.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Just to kind of punch out that page and get it where it needs to be. Yeah,
I really
absolutely.
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And thanks for all your coaching. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Anya, for being our guinea pig for the hot seat. And
My
if anybody
pleasure.
is going to be able to get to the Taos area, check out the workshop. Eva is amazing.
Yes. Eva's an awesome teacher.
All right. So thanks again, Anya. I'm going to mute you now. All right. So this is kind of the end of our teaching portion of the call. But obviously there is way more to learn on marketing, on business, on all this awesome stuff. So Julie, if people want to learn more from you, how can they go about that?
Oh, well, the best thing that they can do is to sign up for the Circle. And the Circle is a very special place that it doesn't exist anywhere else in the belly dance world that I know of. It's a membership community where you can learn all of the marketing stuff that I've been talking about and way, way more. We go over all 5 of the areas, and I have step-by-step guides to help you create things that haven't been created yet and help you build your marketing plans and continue to keep things going at that consistent level all year round. We have live coaching just like we're doing right now. We have Google Hangouts. I have office hours so people can talk to me directly about their websites or whatever is keeping them stuck at the moment. Most importantly, though, is it's got unconditional support. I sign every email that I send out, I believe in you, and that is the absolute truth. I believe that every single one of you can do whatever you want to do. And if it's simply a marketing issue that you don't know how to do something, that I don't want that to stop you. So I provide as much support as I possibly can, and the ladies inside the Circle as well provide tons and tons of support. We celebrate when you do something really cool. And that's the best part. Is I love it when someone comes in and says, I did this cool thing, and everybody gets all excited. So it's a supportive community, and I think that's one of the biggest things that people need is they need someone there who's going to talk them off the cliff when they can't stand their website anymore, or is going to lift them up and say, it's okay, you can do this workshop. I know that you're going crazy right now, but it's going to be fine. Or if you're self-doubting or whatever's going on, there's always going to be somebody there, even if it's just me, who believes in you and who is going to help you get through it as best you can. And I don't think that there's a whole lot of places like that anyway, but I don't know a lot of places like that in the belly dance world, and so I created it because I think we needed it. You can learn a lot more about the Circle and how to join at bellydancebusinessacademy.com/circle. And there's a whole bunch of information there. You can also email me if you have questions, and that's julie@bellydance.businessacademy.com. And I have a gift for everybody who's on this call, whether you're listening live or whether you're on the recording, and that is a mini course that I created called the 5 Free Publicity Tools that you can use to fill your classes and your calendar. And it's just a little mini course. It covers a bunch of really cool things that you can do right now to get some cool publicity, whether you're teaching or whether you're performing. And included in that is a marketing plan template, which goes through all of these 5 areas and goes through, it just gives you a bunch of questions to ask to go through in more leisurely terms what we just did with Anya. So you can sell, or you can create a marketing plan to sell just about anything that you happen to be working on. And you can get that, so that's completely free. All I need you to do is put your name and email in a little box, and you can get that. And that's at bellydancebusinessacademy.com/geekout. I made a special page just for this call. So that's GEEKOWT. OUT, not OW.
And those of you who are on the webcast, that's the link at the left that says Free Video Training and Marketing Plan Tool.
Yeah, so you can just click on those. And I think we're going to give away a 1-year membership tonight to the Circle. Is that right? Are we going to do that now, or are we going to make them wait?
Yes, we are. I think this is a really generous giveaway. Do you mind if I quote some dollar values here?
$120. The Circle is $10 a month, and this is a 1-year thing. Actually, for a very limited time, you can get in 2 months free if you want to pay for an entire year for $100. You can get a little discount. But yeah, 1 year. So I want to help somebody. So pick a name out of a hat.
Excellent. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So just to make sure that I've got everybody accounted for, if you're listening on the webcast live and you want to be included in the drawing, please type your name and your email into that little box at left so that we can include you. And those of you who are calling in by phone or Skype, I've already got you here on the list. So I'm going to give the webcast people just a minute to get logged in. I know there's a delay of about 15 seconds on the webcast, just so I can get the count. So while we're waiting for the webcast folks just to type in their entry, I want to tell you how the drawing works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count exactly how many people we have on the call between the phone, Skype, and webcast. And then I'm going to go to a site called random.org. And this is a random number generator that actually gets real random numbers, which mathematically is really hard. And the way it gets that is by looking at atmospheric noise. So those of you who are non-belly dance geeks as well, this is kind of awesome. So all I'm just going to do is use that true random number generator right there to pick a number between 1 and the number of people we've got on the call. And whoever that number is our winner. So let me just check in and see if we've got the webcast entries in yet. Okay, these are starting to come in, but I know that we've got far fewer entries than we've got folks on the webcast. So I'm going to give everybody another minute. And while we're doing that, Julie, if there was one thing that our listeners could take away from this call, what would you want that to be?
Oh, geez. Put me on the spot. One thing would be, the one thing that I say all the time is you can't fail at marketing. You can only fail to do your marketing. And what that means is marketing is a skill set. It's just a bunch of stuff that you can learn how to do. And you don't have to learn all of the ways because I've spent, 15 years learning how to do all this stuff. And you don't have to do it all. But you do have to do some of it, and you do have to do it consistently and regularly. So if you just do something and you get help when you need it, get support where you need it, you're going to be fine. And I say I believe in you, and it sounds kind of corny and dorky, but it really and truly is the truth. And I have the great fortune of having a mother who believed in me. No matter what I wanted to do, no matter what I did, she always said, I'm proud of you and I believe in you, and I wanted to give people the same benefit, because I know that a lot of dancers have told me, nobody ever tells me that. Nobody's ever supported this particular thing. So if you need support and you can't get it anywhere else, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook. I believe in you. I will be your cheerleader. I will be your supporter. And I know that everybody else who is associated with me feels the same way. They feel the genuine love and support of the people who are trying to make dance into a career or into a business. It is hard. It's hard work, and it doesn't have to be as hard as sometimes it is, because we have tools and we have techniques that we can share with you to make it a little bit easier. So you can't fail to do your marketing, but you can fail you can't fail at marketing. As long as you're doing it, you're doing good.
Yeah. And I just need to second how important that I believe in you is. I don't remember if it still is, but that actually is in Julie's email signature. And when I've gotten mail from her on a bad day, that can turn everything around. Even if you're a confident person and you've been working on marketing for 5 years like me, sometimes when you're doing big, cool, awesome things, that's really scary. And that's when you really need just to hear somebody say, yes, you can do this. I believe you can do this. So that's just seconding what Julie said, but I also want to add my own note onto that, and that's that if you can ever be that support for somebody else, don't skip out on the opportunity, because you can really change somebody's life.
Yeah, you can.
All right.
And you can save people's lives.
All right. So I think we're going to go ahead with the drawing. So let me just make a quick count of our entries. All right. So on the phone, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then on the webcast, we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 19. Okay, so our drawing is from 1 to 19. I kind of feel like I should be singing those numbers Sesame Street style. And our winner is number 16, so let me check out who that is. I have to count backwards to get this, so this one is 19, 18, 17, 16. That is Jana. I've got your email right in front of me, so Jana will send you some details about how you can get your free membership.
Yay, Jana! Welcome.
Awesome. All right. So, Jana gets the free Circle membership. Everybody else, you can check it out using those links that we mentioned. But if you have not gotten any help from Julie today and you want some, we've still got some time for Q&A. So usually I cut the call off at 90 minutes, which is 6 minutes from now, but I did schedule a little extra time with my telephone cast service today, so I will let us run as late as another half hour if we need to. So I saw that we already had some great questions on the webcast. If anybody's on the webcast wants to ask some questions, you can type those in the box at left, and those of you who have already typed in questions, we will address some of those too. But for those of you who are on the phone or Skype, you'll want to press *2 to raise your hand. If you're dialing from a phone, it's *2 on your phone. If you're dialing from Skype, it's *2 on the Skype keypad. So pressing *2 on your keyboard, I don't think will do it. So it looks like we've already got a hand raised in Van Nuys, California. Hi there.
Hello.
What can I raise?
Hi, Julie. This is Malia.
Hi, Maria.
It's Malia. Malia.
Malia. Oh, Malia. Oh, you are my friend, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Emailing me. Are you the Malia that's been emailing me?
You know what? I want to tell you that when you and Tracy responded to me this morning, it was 4 o'clock here in California, and my phone is on vibrate on the bed, and it went off. I said, oh my goodness, I wonder if Julie is really aware that my zone here is like I'm totally in La La Land right now. But I so wanted to tell you about the little glitch, and I just know for the sake of all my other belly dancers that I wanted you obviously to project something very positive, and if there was indeed an error, that we can fix it.
No, she found a bug for us in the site. It was awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to just bring that across. But I just want to first say, Julie, I love you very much. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
I am a medical instructor by day, so I do have a full-time job at a local college here where I teach future X-ray technicians. Mm-hmm. And so belly dancing is my side thing, and it's become my heart right now, simply because I love to empower young girls. We need that in our society with the way I see some of our young girls carry on. It's kind of sad, and I just think they don't have the direction. And I would love to, I like to use dance as a platform to do that. However, I will tell you that I am coming across a lot of roadblocks, especially when I speak with other teachers. This is one thing I've found that's very daunting for me in this business is a lot of teachers are not really willing to share their secrets. And this is one of the reasons why I love you, because you're telling us what to do. I just came from Kinko's, and I made copies of this marketing template, and I made it into a spiral book with pencils and my highlighters and different color inks because I see in color, so that I can really, I'm actually sitting at a desk, and this is why I said to you while I was studying yesterday in the email, because I'm really taking this serious, and it's like a classroom format for me. I have good study habits being an instructor. I have 40 students under my leadership that I have to make into medical professionals to send out there. So I have that platform working for me. But I really have come across a lot of teachers who are not willing to share their secrets. I guess the primary reason is simply because they're afraid of you taking their business from them. And the way I look at it is there's the pie is huge, and there is enough for everyone to go around. That's my mindset, And it's just really sad, Julie. And you're right. Bellydance Business Academy, there's none other like it. There's none. I'm sorry. Hands down, there's none other like it. I don't care what anyone says. If there's anyone telling me any differently, you have to show it to me, because the information that you're providing is phenomenal. I have to let the world know this. Phenomenal.
Oh, thank you. I didn't pay her to say that, I swear.
Phenomenal. I mean, I only just got on to how you coach these two young ladies in the earlier on, and I hopefully someday I'll be in one of those lineups, because I think with me not having any budget and just doing it by myself on my own, I think I've come a long way.
Yeah.
But I always like to be under the leadership of a mentor, and I like to credit them for whatever successes I've had, because I know I couldn't do it alone. And I'm really banking on Bellydance Business Academy to really take me out there and let me do what I love, and let me empower young girls and let them know they can be powerful and sexy and you know, without being derogatory. You know what I mean?
Yes. And that's a great niche.
Yes, and I'm honing in on that because I have a medical background of 16 years, also being a licensed massage therapist. I have a good knowledge of the human anatomy, and I know how muscles move, and I know how to avoid injury, and so I'm using that as a platform for me. And my main thing is really right now I would love to do workshops. I love to travel, and I want to teach about this. But again, I go to teachers for their opinion and their advice and their leadership, and it's, you know, it's like water in their mouth. They go around circles without really telling you. You know what I mean, Julie?
Yeah,
and it's
it's
like pulling teeth for information, and it's disheartening sometimes. So I don't know if you want to help me with that or whatever advice you can offer.
I want to give you a couple things. First of all, your passion for teaching young girls and teenagers and things is something that is absolutely necessary in this world right now. I have 2 teenage daughters who just graduated high school, like last week was one of them and the other was last year. And this is something that is it's just really, really, really valuable to the world.
Yeah.
You can, I don't know if you're aware of a program called SEEDS, SEEDS, which is run by a woman down at Pomegranate Studio.
Okay.
And it is a program designed to do exactly what you're talking about. Okay. And she has a wonderful video on her website on Pomegranate Studio. And that's P as in Paul, O-M, E-G-R-A-N ATE, like the fruit, Pomegranate Studios. If you just type in seeds in Bellydance, you'll find it. She has a wonderful website on there that will moves me to tears when I watch it.
Oh wow!
And you can use it as a learning tool for how to market yourself in this kind of a program, and also to maybe get some ideas for the way that you might want to teach certain aspects of things. The beautiful thing about the way she's doing it is she's not going after people who want to learn how to belly dance. All right, she's using a completely different marketing tactic, and she's going after the community and the kids in the community, and she's reaching out to the psychologists who are giving these kids therapy, and she's reaching out to the schools, and she's reaching out to all of the parents and the people who have girls, and they want them to be empowered, and they want them to be proud, and they want them to be successful. Yeah. And that's where she's doing her marketing. So she's not in competition with any of the local belly dance studios for this particular program. She also teaches other things. But this is her focus, it's her niche, and it's very tightly marketed so that she doesn't have to worry about the other studios going, oh well, I teach kids too. Well, it doesn't matter. She has this program and it's incredible, and she's marketed it really, really well to the local community. And you said that you wanted to teach workshops and you wanted to travel. So this is something you could completely take on the road and take to high schools all over the country easily. Really, really, you could set it up so that they pay you to come into the schools and teach empowerment through this dance form.
Yes, it was actually funny you brought that up because I do have on my list 3 colleges here. Pepperdine University is one. Also Pierce College and LA Valley College that I would actually go and visit and see if I can speak with the dean there regarding, but I would like to go with a package so that they can see. I don't want to go empty-handed. I want to leave an impression.
You're in the circle already, so we can talk about that at length and build a strategy before you just go off quickly and just say, hey, I have this thing. There's a very specific strategy that you're going to want to build so that it works. rather than pushing your program onto people tends to turn them off. But you're going to present it in such a way, and I'll teach you how to present it in such a way that they're going to go, oh God, we need that so badly. And I wouldn't even limit yourself to colleges. I would go after high schools, performing arts high schools or magnet schools or places where it's the younger kids as well. Yes, Julie. Cool. I love you, Julie.
I really do, Julie. Nadira, thank you so much for doing this. And I'm going to, I have visited your website, but Julie talked about your subscribing email thing. I'm going to go on there and see how you did that, because I do have 8 e-videos that I want to give free. My only issue is that it shows up in Google, and it's not for everybody. So that's something I'm having to fix. I don't know how yet, but I will get around to it.
We can help you do that.
Well, I'm in the circle too, so we'll talk.
Okay, perfect.
All right, and I'll send out the link to the show notes. The site Julie was mentioning is actually my local classes website, which is separate from the one that I use to talk to dancers around the world. But I'll make sure that goes out.
Okay. All right, perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Malia.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
So I'm going to move us on to some questions from the webcast. In the meantime, if there's anybody who's on the phone or Skype who wants to raise their hand, you can press *2 on your phone or on your Skype keypad. We've got a really good question on the webcast from Jamie Lee Fury in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. And she says, hi, Julie. Hi, Nadira. When you find yourself being that starving artist as a full-time dancer or teacher, how do you know how long you should keep chipping away until you rein it into part-time?
Say that again, when you're a starving artist and you want to move to part-time?
When you find yourself being in that starving artist mode when you are already working full-time as a dancer, how do you know when it's time to give up and go to part-time?
Oh, give up and go to part-time and get a part-time job? Okay. That's a really good question. I think that if you are not succeeding as a full-time dancer, you need to feed yourself. You need to eat, or you can't dance, right? So I see it as the other way around. I see it as you're going to start and you're going to build your way up. Like you're going to start part-time and then build your way up to full-time rather than the other way around. But if you are already a full-time dancer and you're finding it really hard to make ends meet, it is not giving up to get a part-time job or to get something else. It's smart and it's survival. I mean, you can't get around that. So don't get that out of your head that it's giving up, because you can go back and forth. It's okay. It's okay to go back and forth. And you may need to go back and forth depending on your personal circumstances. You may need to go back and forth depending on the market circumstances or the competition in your local area. I mean, there's all kinds of different reasons why. What I would do is I would try to, even if you go to part-time, I would try to keep a full-time mindset. So you're still working on the things in your marketing and in your business that are going to bring you the biggest returns. So there's a rule that's in marketing, and it's actually in everything, but it's called the 80-20 rule. And what that means is that 80% of your income comes from 20% of your effort. So if you are running around like a chicken with your head cut off and you're trying to do all these crazy, crazy things and you're trying everything and you're doing everything and you're exhausted and you're just overwhelmed, you need to take a step back and look at what you're doing from a different perspective. And sometimes it takes somebody else looking at what you're doing to kind of help you see it in a different light. And you want to look at what 20% of all that stuff that you're doing is going to bring you the 80% of your income. How can you create and carve out time so that you can do the most effective marketing and get rid of everything that's not working or that isn't working for you, and bring in that income. So you're keeping that full-time mindset. You're carving out the time that you need so that you can keep working on building that full-time career, but you also have enough time to do whatever you need to do to feed yourself and also, have a life. Everybody's got different circumstances. I don't know if you're married or have kids or if there's, other things that you have responsibilities for. But it's not a step back. It's not giving up. It's just changing your circumstances, taking a step back, taking care of yourself, because you have to take care of yourself, and then figuring out what are the most effective things that are going to help bring you back up to that full-time level. That's what I would say.
Gotcha. That is a good answer. And Jamie Lee, that was a great question.
That was a great question because, yeah, it happens.
Okay. So I've got a couple questions from Anya and Serafina about the mechanics of your website. I think I'm going to save those for offline. But ladies, I'll make sure that Julie gets those right after the call. Let's see what we've got. Okay, I'm going to call up a few more webcast questions. But again, if you're on the phone or Skype, just press *2 to raise your hand. Let's see. So Oranitza in Baltimore has a question. So she would like to know if your Bellydance Business Academy .tv site, which is the one with all those great marketing videos, is going to stay up, or if that's being replaced by the new .com site.
That is going to stay up for a little while. We're kind of in massive transition right now. We're not kind of. We are in massive transition. What we're going to do with those videos is they're going to be turned into blog posts, and they will be, like, all the videos will still be there. They will be on the main site rather than the TV site. The reason that we created the TV site was, one, it was a way to market certain things, but it was also because it looked really cool, and it was a different theme from the regular site because it had all the neat videos all in a line. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, you can go to bellydancebusinessacademy.tv instead of .com, and there's a whole bunch of training videos there. They're real short and right to the point, and I love them. But we're going to move them, so they'll still be there. They'll just be they'll be listed under articles, and they'll be like blog posts on the regular site.
Excellent. Okay, let's answer another question here. Okay, so Candace Franklin in Auckland asks, do you have any suggestions for how I can grow my business within a very small market? I love the belly dance community in New Zealand, where I live and run a belly dance business, but I'm feeling the smallness and unusual dynamics of the market here.
Okay. First of all, small markets are normal. I live in a small market. I've done a lot of work in small markets. What you have to do is, first of all, you have to figure out who you want to target. So who is your target audience? People will say, oh, I teach all women of all ages and all sizes and all fitness levels, and that's great, and you can have that be what the bottom line is, that yes, anybody can come to my class, but that's not good for your marketing. Your marketing needs to be targeted, even if you have different flyers for different people. So, for example, if you're going to take flyers and you have women who are in college, and they're relatively fit, and they just want to learn how to belly dance because it's sexy, that's going to take one kind of a flyer. Then if you're going to go and you're going to advertise in maybe a mom, like a preschool or places where moms hang out, and it's targeted to women who have young children and who need a break and need to get out and do something for themselves, that's going to take a different kind of flyer. And then maybe you have some marketing that goes out to people who are just sick and tired of their gym. They want something different to do besides riding a stationary bike or going on a treadmill. That's a different kind of flyer. So it may be only one class, and you may take all of those women into your class, but you want to make your marketing super, super targeted for all the different types of women or men who might come to your class. So you need to get super clear about who you're targeting in each situation. And in a small market, you are going to want to branch out. In a large competitive market, you want to pick one and go to that thing and be the specialist in that thing. So, for example, Malia, I think, is in LA or Hollywood, and that's a very crowded market. There's lots of people there dancing. But if she's picking young girls and she's going to a specific market, she can become the expert in that particular thing. And you can do that too, but in a smaller market, it's going to be more profitable for you to spread out and widen your net, but still keeping your marketing targeted. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me. All right. So if you did have any more questions about that, Candace, feel free to type in another question. All right. So if you've got a question on the phone or Skype, press *2. If anybody else wants to ask questions on the webcast, you can type that into the box at left. And let's grab another question from the webcast. So Kristen Ward in Pittsburgh asks, know of any good resources for confidence building? It is what I seem to fight with the most.
Confidence. Confidence in what? In teaching, in performing, in body? Can she quickly type in what kind of confidence?
Okay, Kristen, if you're still on the call, please go ahead and type in a little bit of clarification for us. There is a delay of about 15 or 20 seconds on the webcast, so maybe a minute before we can get that. In the meantime, Jamie Lee Fury says thank you, which is awesome.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's give everybody a minute.
I can give a couple of. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, as far as confidence building and mindset building for business, one of the people that I like to listen to and to follow is a woman named Elizabeth Purvis, and she's actually a good friend of mine from a long time ago. She is at a site called marketinggoddess.com. She's really, really good at taking people who are a little unsure and turning them into wonderful business women, like full of confidence. It's very specific to businesses, specific to heart-centered businesses. So it's not necessarily going to work. Like, it's not directed at belly dancers or anything like that. It's just, I think it's a really great resource for building confidence. Another person for the business side of things, besides, we try to build a lot of confidence in the circle, but also I'm trying to give you some external resources. Another woman is called Kendall Summerhawk. That's Kendall, and summer like summer, and hawk like the bird. And she also teaches about having confidence in making money and having money and keeping money and everything to do around money, because that seems to be a big thing. Nazira, you have a really great resource for body confidence, and I can't remember her name.
Yes, her name is Golda Paretsky. And
that's
her
it, Golda Paretsky.
Yes, bodylovewellness.com. She is amazing.
So there's a lot of... Okay.
And also, I actually have worked with Elizabeth a little bit, and I've seen some of Kendall's stuff, and I second those. Those are great. It does definitely get into the woo-woo a little bit, so if that's something that really cranks you out, it's not for you. But it's not getting too far into it, so I think that they have a lot to offer.
Definitely new agey. Which is great for certain segments of this particular market.
Yeah. And actually, if I can add something to this, I'm actually writing my next newsletter article on this, and that's that I think that a big part of what makes dancers underconfident, especially the ones who are really conscientious and really care about the dance. I'm not talking about the one-week wonders, but the people who are really in love with this dance and it's important to them have really high standards, and that's a good thing. But what I find is that a lot of people measure themselves against the world-class dancers and forget that there is a really important point on the spectrum called competence, and that if you are competent, you should value what you have, right? If you're not competent yet, you work towards it. No shame, no blame, right? But you work on it. And if you are competent, it is good to strive to be better and to work towards being world-class. But just because you're not there already doesn't mean that you don't have value and that you can't put yourself out there. And
that's really true.
So I'm working on that article still. But I'll have it out this week.
There's another mentor of mine who likes to say that if you're in third grade, you're not going to be expected to teach the sixth graders, but you can totally teach the first graders a lot of cool stuff. There's always going to be people that are better than you. There's always going to be people that are not up to your level yet, and there's no reason that you cannot be a mentor and a wonderful teacher to people who need your help. And that is something that people do forget. You're right. They compare themselves, oh gosh, I'm not, this world-class dancer yet. You've got to get the experience, and the only way you're going to get the experience is to decide that you are good enough and you are going to start teaching or you are going to start performing, because you value what you do. And it can be really hard because how do you know if you're good? You know, we put so much emphasis in this.
You ask your teacher, you ask a mentor. You know, you get some input, but you know, it's very hard when you're trying to be your own judge, especially when you're comparing yourself to Dina. You know?
Right. Exactly.
You don't need to be Dina to give a great restaurant performance.
Yes. And you get feedback from your target audience, not just other dancers. Other dancers can be really cruel, and other dancers can be protective, and they can be insecure. They can also be extremely helpful, but you know, realize that you are in the same industry as them, and they are going to be coming with background and baggage and things. So if you are getting really amazing feedback from your audiences and from people who maybe you teach on the side, or you just started teaching a class and you're getting really good feedback from them, value that at least as much as the other dancers that are looking at you, because sometimes they can view you as competition, and then it's just it's downhill from there.
All right, next we got some clarification from Kristen. She says, I tend to be off stage very shy and find it hard to network/sell myself. So that was the confidence issue she was talking about.
That is a confidence, and you will definitely get help from me if you continue to listen to the blog posts and different things that I do, or if you're in the circle. Elizabeth works with that particular confidence thing a lot, as far as just being a shy person and not wanting to sell yourself. The one thing that people told me when I felt like that, because I was pretty shy, and I had to learn to market, and I had to learn to sell, and I had all this stuff. It's something you can learn, but you have to practice it, and it feels yucky to practice sometimes. But people would tell me, the reason that you're teaching, I don't know if you're a teacher or you're a performer, but I'm just going to use teaching as an example. The reason you're teaching is because you have a gift that needs to get out to the world. And if you don't get it out there, then you are being selfish and you're depriving people of something that they need and something that you are the only person who can give it to them. And so selling is actually just a matter of exchanging money for a gift that you are giving. It's an even exchange, and it's an exchange of energy. This is something that Kendall Summerhawk gets into, that money is an exchange of energy, and the more money you're making, that means you're making a bigger impact in the world, and the more people that you're reaching. And I'll just share a quick little story that somebody told me years ago, and it was really it was just so cool that she said, if it hadn't been for belly dance, I would have committed suicide. She was like at the end of her rope. She was ready to be done with life. And because she had a dance teacher who cared enough to make phone calls and find out why she was not in class, she is still alive today. And if that dance teacher was too shy to market herself, then the world would have been deprived of that particular person and her gifts. And I don't know if she had, children or whatever, but lots of lives would have been impacted. And that's pretty heavy stuff. And I will tell you, from my own background, I had been a professional for a long time, and I stopped when I moved to Maine because I was raising a family. I had 3 small children. I had just given birth to my son, and I was going crazy. I was a stay-at-home mom on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and, my husband was gone all the time, and I couldn't talk to grown-ups, and I was just literally going crazy. And my husband brought home a flyer from a belly dancer who just put it up on a light post in the middle of nowhere in Maine, and she said, "You're going to this belly dance class." And I'm like, I'm not going to go to a class. It's going to be a beginner level, and I don't know these people, and I don't want to go. And he said, "You're going. You're going because you need to get the hell out of the house, and you need to dance." And I went, and I ended up, partnering with her on a ton of different things, and we ended up having a troupe together, and it was this really great experience. But if she hadn't marketed herself, I don't know where I would be right now. I probably would not be talking to you guys. That's for sure. I wouldn't have a Bellydance Business Academy. So, it's selling yourself. Don't think of it as yourself. Think of it as a gift that you're giving to the world, and the money that you get back is just the energy and thank you for all of the lives that you're impacting. And it's so easy to underestimate. You're just teaching a dance class, or you're just performing at a wedding, but it means more than you think it does. So you can kind of remember that sometimes when you're feeling a little low. Or you can just pretend you're somebody else. So you're on stage, pretend you're somebody else.
Okay, so I'm going to take one last question because we're getting close to time. So again, if anybody's on the phone or Skype and wants to raise their hand, you can press *2. Otherwise, we're going to take one more question from the Q&A. And I just want to apologize to everybody. We do have some questions that we're not going to get to, and I'm so sad about that. But, we are at almost 2 hours out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste the entire question log here. And I don't know if we'll be able to get to them directly, but, worst case, we can at least check in. Let's see. Okay, we don't have any hands raised on the phone, so our last question on the webcast is from Candace in Auckland again, and she said that was really helpful. Thanks. She says that she has one class with a teacher who teaches in her area that we can't seem to get off the ground after 3 terms. We've done flyer drops on this busy street where the class takes place, advertised online, on Facebook, run specials, and it's still only 2 to 4 students a week. When do you pull the plug on a class or project?
It depends on if you are paying, if you are like bleeding money for the studio space or things like that, or if it's something that you truly love to do and you would do it whether there were students or not. There's lots of different mindsets about business and whether or not this is just a business or whether it's something that you love and you're going to do and you're doing it no matter whether you get paid or not, and you're hoping that you will get paid and build up. You don't want to bleed money. You don't want to, put yourself into debt. You can't do that. It's not healthy. So if that's the situation, you may need to just close it up for a little while and do some community building in the area, and maybe do some performances for some local groups, or guest teach in a couple of different places. Build up an awareness while the classes are not going on, and then when you've gotten an awareness and you've gotten people, an email list is great for this because you can keep track of people and you can keep communicating with them while you're not having a class, and then when you're ready to have a class, you can email out and say, hey, we're going to open up a class, and we hope you'll all come out and join us. It is really demoralizing and frustrating, and I understand the frustration of having 1 or 2 people show up, even when you have a full class of registered people. When it's really up and down with the attendance, it's really, really frustrating, and I get that. But it sounds to me like you just need to do a little bit more awareness raising in your area, because most people, once they hear about it, like I hear it all the time when people come to my classes, they're like, oh, I just didn't know about it. I would have come to this years ago, but I didn't know about it. So you have to, be really creative about where you're showing up and where you are, where you're marketing, because it's more than just flyers. You want to be there. You want to have a presence. Go, if they have local street fairs, see if you can perform at the street fairs. Performing is one of the best ways that you can draw attention to yourself, because they see it and they're like, oh wow, I really want to do that. The first class I ever took was because I saw a dancer at a street fair. So the key to a street fair is to have somebody nearby with a piece of paper and a pen or a cell phone and get people to sign up for your list while they're watching you perform. Because if you're doing a performance and you're hoping that they'll remember and get all excited and come to your class, that's a real long shot. It's even if they see you and they go, oh God, I really want to take this lady's class, I'm going to go check her out online. The chances that they'll actually go home and will look you up online and will show up in your class are really slim, because people get distracted, not because they don't want to do it, but because they get distracted. So if you have a sign-up form where they can put their name and their email and you're in control of the communication, you can send them an email, because you're the one that wants them to come to the class and say, hey, yes, thanks for signing up for my list. We're going to keep you informed of what's going on. We're going to be performing next month, or whatever it is. Your email communication is a really, really good tool. And if you are out there performing, anybody who's out there performing at festivals or any place where the general public is, if you're a teacher, you really want to be building your list while you're performing. So whether you have another dancer, a student, or somebody there, or you have a sign-up form on a card table, whatever it is, it's your best chance to grab those people who may never come in contact with your website or may never even see any of your other marketing. If they see you and they can sign up, that's a great way to do it.
Awesome. I think I'm so sad to cut us off, but I think we're going to have to close this one off. But I swear we will have Julie back sometime.
Absolutely.
All right. So thank you so much, Julie.
You are absolutely welcome. It's my pleasure. I love doing this. I could do it all night, but I can't because my husband will get mad at me.
And also, thank you, Serafina and Anya, for being our hot seat guinea pigs. That is awesome. And thank you, everybody else, for coming. I do have to bring the call to an end today, but that doesn't mean the conversation has to end. So we do have a private Facebook group for the Clubhouse listeners. So if you have joined us in the Bellydance Geek Clubhouse list, you will get an invitation to that Facebook group. And I'll send that out in an email shortly, so you'll get a link directly to the group. And in that email, I'll also include some of the resources that Julia and I mentioned on the call. I've been jotting down notes as we go. So if you missed any of the links or people's names, those will all be there. I'm also going to include a link to Julie's free gift and to the circle. And I'm also going to include a link to the Clubhouse survey. It's really important to me that the Clubhouse be an us thing, not a me thing. So I really want to know what you want in the ways of topics, speakers, or if you have any suggestions for ways that I could improve the Clubhouse. So that will be off either later tonight or tomorrow, and I'd love to hear back from you. Our next Clubhouse call is scheduled for Thursday, July 18th. That's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, which is the same time slot. And my guest is going to be music attorney Valerie Lovely, and she's going to talk about copyright for belly dancers. We're also going to have her paralegal, Joy, on the phone with us, and Joy is a belly dancer, so she's going to be a great bridge between this lovely music law expert and the belly dance world. So that's a really exciting topic. And the last thing I want to say is that the Clubhouse is the come on in and join us kind of Clubhouse, not the no boys allowed kind. So if you'd like to invite anybody else to geek out with us, they can do that at bellydancegeek.com/clubhouse. And until next time, happy dancing. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening. For more geek-tacular resources, visit bellydancegeek.com.